Have you ever felt that strange thing where you're watching an anime and out of nowhere you realize your jaw is dropping, your throat tightens, and you just sit there staring at the screen, unable to breathe properly? It's not a jump scare, it's not an action scene, it's worse. It's that feeling that the anime just hit you somewhere you didn't even know existed inside you. That's exactly what's happening to ReZero fans in Season 4, and I need to talk to you about this today. Just look at what's going on across social media. People posting videos of themselves crying, screenshots of chats with friends who just sent bro and 2 crying emojis, Twitter threads with thousands of retweets all saying the same thing. This arc destroyed me. And it's not fan drama or overreaction. It's ReZero being ReZero at the most brutal level the series has ever reached. Let me give you some context. Season 4 started on April 8, 2026, launched as the most anticipated anime of Japan's spring season, and it adapts what's known as Arc 6, also called the Pleiades Watchtower arc. Light novel readers had been warning people for years. This is the most emotionally devastating arc in the entire franchise. Not the most action-packed, not the most epic in terms of battles, the most painful to read, to watch, to feel. And they were not exaggerating. The first part of this season, known as the Lost Arc, ended with episode 11 on June 17, 2026. 11 weeks of being progressively crushed, and the entire community walked away from that finale talking about one thing only. This arc doesn't play dirty with you, it plays dirty with your emotional memory, with everything you've built up about these characters since 2016. I'm gonna tell you what happens in this arc, why it breaks so many people, and what exactly makes this moment in the series something that will go down in anime history. But first, let me prepare you, because this isn't a cold analysis. This is a conversation from someone who's been watching right alongside you. Take a breath, because we're going deep. To understand why Season 4 hurts this much, you need to understand what Subaru has been carrying since the very beginning. This kid, from the very first episode back in 2016, was dropped into a world that doesn't ask permission before it breaks you. He died again and again, and every time he came back, we thought he'd be a little more prepared, a little harder, and he never was. Subaru kept being that guy who feels everything, who cries with everything, who carries the weight of every death as if it were the first time. We went through that with him. Over 10 years of this franchise, we were trained to love the people around Subaru and to live in constant fear of losing them. And then Arc 6 arrives, and Tappei Nagatsuki, who is the author of this gorgeous nightmare, does something no previous arc had done. He strips from Subaru not his body, not his life, not his friends, but the certainty of who he is. Sit with that for a second. The Pleiades Watchtower is the season's destination. Subaru, Emilia, Beatrice, Ram, Anastasia, and the others set out across the deadly Agrias sand dunes, a place so hostile that even Reinhard van Estrella was never able to cross it. The goal is simple on the surface: find the sage Shaula, who holds the knowledge needed to wake Rem, free Crush from her stolen memories, and return Julius his name. But nothing in ReZero is ever simple. The tower itself is a psychological prison. Its floors don't test strength, they test who you are. And when Subaru starts losing his memory, when he wakes up without knowing the people around him, when he finds sketches on the walls that he made himself but can't remember drawing, when Ram looks at him with suspicion and accuses him of a crime he can't prove he didn't commit, that's when things hit a different level. Have you ever felt the thread of an important conversation and felt that strange sensation that something crucial slipped by you? Now multiply that by 1,000. Imagine not knowing who you are anymore, not knowing if the people you love still trust you, not knowing if your actions caused harm to someone you never meant to hurt. That's what the arc does to Subaru, and that's what it does to us watching from the outside with no way to help. Beatrice, who is essentially the emotional core of this arc, becomes Subaru's anchor when everything starts to fall apart. The relationship between them, built with such care throughout the previous season, transforms here into something that goes beyond partnership. It's almost like watching two people who know the whole world might end, but decide they're going to hold on together anyway. And when you watch that happen, when White Fox's animation captures Beatrice's expression as she looks at him, when Kenichiro Suhero's music wraps around that moment, and you remember every step these two took to get here, it's impossible to not feel it. Impossible to stay on autopilot. But here's the thing.
The episode that broke the community the hardest wasn't the most action-packed one. It was the episode where something happens in the anime that light novel readers call the cruelest scene Tappei has ever written. And the anime adaptation delivered it in a way that made even people who'd already read the source material watch it a second time, jaw on the floor. Let me tell you what that scene is.
There's a scene in the Lost Ark where the entire internet fell apart together. I won't spoil it completely for those who haven't watched yet, but I'll give you enough context to understand why it lands so hard emotionally. During the arc, there is a moment where Subaru, in a state of total confusion about his own identity, encounters Rem. Not a vision, not a flashback. Rem is awake. Rem is in the tower, and she doesn't know who he is. For anyone who's been watching since Season 2, since the episode where Rem declared that Subaru was her hero, where she said she would go anywhere with him, this lands like a blade. Because the Rem standing before Subaru is a Rem without memories. A Rem who wakes up in the middle of this nightmare, unaware that she was put to sleep by the Archbishop of Gluttony, unaware that Subaru spent years carrying the guilt of not being able to save her, and the worst part of all, unaware that she loved him. Let that sink in. Imagine someone you carried in your heart for a long time, someone you promised yourself you'd do anything to bring back, and when that person finally opens their eyes, they look at you and ask, "Who are you?" Not anger, not rejection, just emptiness. And emptiness hurts differently. Subaru has to look at Rem, alive and awake, and yet completely detached from everything they ever shared. And while he's dealing with that, with this strange kind of grief over someone who is still standing right in front of him, he still has to function, still has to think about the tower, still has to protect the people around him. Voice actor Yusuke Kobayashi's performance as Subaru in that specific scene went viral in the English-speaking anime community, with people writing things like, "I genuinely cannot process what just happened." The scene was animated with a visual restraint that critics praised. No exaggerated expressions, no overwhelming score. Just Subaru, Rem, and the enormous silence between them. And when the music finally comes in, Ender Ember by Myth and Royd featuring TK from Link Tosite Segure, it feels like the anime knows exactly where the blade is buried and gives it one slow turn. Now, there's a dimension to all of this that goes beyond the drama of the scene itself. This season is airing during ReZero's 10th anniversary. The series began in 2016. The fans who watched Rem for the first time in Season 1 are adults now. They grew up with this story. Some of them were teenagers when they watched Season 1, Episode 18, which produced one of the most emotionally iconic reactions in anime community history. So when this scene appears in Season 4, it isn't just narrative. It's 10 years of memory being activated all at once. It's an entire generation of fans who grew up with these characters, seeing that time has passed, that the story has moved forward, and that the cost of all of it was never fully paid. That's why this season is making people cry in a different way. Not the cry of surprise, the cry of recognition. Beyond the Rem scene, there are other moments in the Lost Ark that the community has called the heaviest of the season. The confrontation between Rem and Subaru, where she accuses him without evidence but with such conviction that you find yourself doubting alongside her. The sequence inside Subaru's fragmented mind where the anime uses almost dreamlike visuals, and White Fox delivered some of the most beautiful frames the series has ever produced. And the Emilia hug scene, when in episode 11, when Subaru's emotional state was on the verge of total collapse, she simply held him, with no demands, no questions, no judgment. And that moment, in a way the script makes very clear, saved him in a way no battle ever could. That scene became a positive meme across the internet. One of the most liked posts in the community read, "Did Emilia finally win? No, she always won. We just weren't paying attention." Alright, let's be real for a second. ReZero isn't the most popular anime on the market. It doesn't touch One Piece in global audience numbers, it doesn't have Dragon Ball's mainstream recognition, but ReZero has something a lot of successful anime don't. It treats its characters like people.
Subaru Natsuki isn't a hero built for you to admire, he's built for you to recognize. He's afraid. He makes mistakes that don't come from the stubborn recklessness of a generic shonen protagonist, but from real human fragility. He gets lost, and every time he gets lost, the series doesn't cut to the next chapter where he's already moved on. It stays in the uncomfortable place. It makes you stay there with him. That's rare storytelling. That's what makes the difference between an anime you consume and one you carry with you. And Arc 6, what we're watching right now in this fourth season, took all of that principle to the absolute extreme. It took everything Subaru is, everything built over 10 years, and put it all in a vice. Not to destroy it, to see what's left. And what's left when you strip away the memory, the certainty, the recognition from the people you love, is the core of who someone actually is. That resonates beyond the anime. Have you ever had a period in your life where you lost a feeling of who you are? Where you woke up and felt like the pillars that define your identity, your work, your relationships, your goals, were all unstable at the same time? Arc 6 captures exactly that. And that's why it doesn't just entertain, it reaches you. Part 2 of this season, the Recapture arc, begins on August 12, 2026. 8 episodes, and the title says it all. It's time to take back what was lost, to pick up what was scattered, broken, forgotten, and bring it home. Light novel readers already know what's coming, and they stay quiet with that particular smile of someone who knows the pain was going to be worth it. There are 10 special projects releasing for ReZero's 10th anniversary. Gonomi Suzuki and Ashniku sing together on this season's opening, Recollect, which is already being called one of the best in the series. Ria Takahashi recorded a new version of Stay Alive, titled Stay Alive Regain, released on June 18th, right after the Part 1 finale, and anyone who listened to it knowing the context did not come out of it in one piece. This is a series that ages alongside its fans, that knows the people watching today are not the same people who watched in 2016, and it uses that. It understands that the most powerful emotion isn't shock, it's recognition. It's seeing something on screen and thinking, yes, I know exactly what that feels like. If you're watching along, if you made it through these 11 episodes of Part 1 and came out of each one needing a moment to process, know that you're not being dramatic. You're reacting exactly the way you react when a story genuinely reaches you. And if you haven't watched, go. But go with time. Go with space between episodes. Treat this season like you treat anything worth your full attention. But before you go, sit with this question that I haven't been able to shake since watching all of this. If Rem woke up without knowing who Subaru is, without knowing what she felt, without a single memory of everything they shared, and yet at some point in that tower, something inside her recognized something in him, what does that say about who we are when you take away everything we remember?